Conversation, 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus and up. You believe in how to achieve all your dreams. Keep moving forward. Never accept less than who you are. Live your best life. Be strong and free. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with Nahaja Black. It's the hit back.
Hit Back with Nahaja Black is sponsored by the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, BTC, Baja Retreat and Spa, and J.S. Johnson.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back. I'm your host, Nahaja Black. It is a beautiful day here in the 242. I hope that everybody's doing well, that you are taking care of yourself, that you are living your best life today. We got a full show for you today, jam-packed today. I had an interesting morning so far. I tell you, it's been a day. It's been a day. Phone been ringing off the hook. Story time. Well, I need to get my story time music. You got to get your story time music. My Young and the Restless theme song, but I think that YouTube and Facebook might, cancel me and whatnot. You never know with these things. They all kind of copyright claims on these things. Big show. When I say big show, maybe big is a stretch, but interesting show today. I got my good friend joining me all the way from wherever he is, C.A. Nuri. C.A., what's up, buddy?
It's a pleasure, man. It's a big show, or it's a stretch. One of those things.
Maybe big is an oversell. Let's not oversell today's show.
No, don't oversell it.
No, don't oversell it.
An
but it's going to be
show then.
Interesting. We like interesting. All right. So we have for the lineup today, obviously, what I think a lot of people who are, follow us on social media, don't forget, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, please. You can go to Facebook, facebook.com/Nahaja Black Show. That's facebook.com/Nahaja Black Show. You can go on YouTube, like, subscribe, and get the notifications for every show we do live. We will air it. It will show up simultaneously. Get the notifications. Never miss a show. You can go to youtube.com and just search up Nahaja Black, subscribe, like, share there. Obviously, you can always listen to the rerun on the station here at Guardian 96.9 FM. And you can also, we do have it where you can go to the website and there are the podcasts sitting there waiting for you. Never miss a show. There's no reason to miss a show. No reason to miss the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We are everywhere trying our best to educate, inform, and entertain. Can I get sued for that? I feel like those words haven't been copywritten yet.
They sound familiar. Like I know from another place.
I know, but I mean, let's today is an interesting day. We are going to educate, inform, and entertain. Let's start off the bat with the entertaining stuff. Is it informative and entertaining? I don't know. So on Monday, I had a show that was supposedly to get the first side of the story. Obviously, people have heard about it. I was on vacation, minding my business, blah, blah, blah. We know the story, how it goes. We had Faye Thompson, who was to come on at the beginning of the show, CA. And I know you were listening. On Monday. And he was supposed to give his position, he and Boykin Smith. But Boykin, right before showtime, said, no, I didn't, whatever. He didn't make it. And then Faye Thompson came on. And then declared sub judice. He spoke with himself, being his lawyer, and another lawyer, and we ended up with a sub judice moment, and he wasn't willing to speak on his own topic. And that was an issue of contention for me, considering that wasn't what we agreed upon. Fine. He and I had our own sidebar hashing out of that because I was disciplined, you don't do stuff like that. And the story was done for me. But then this morning, so then Madam Kumalafe comes on after, and by all accounts, many persons said that she did an excellent job. She eloquently stated their position, what went down from their side, their vantage point at this meeting. And then there were other people who said to me, Nahash, but why does it even matter? The DNA is the third party. The DNA is fractured. They're shrinking. Why does this story even matter? And I say for the woman them, right? For the woman them, we continue on to make sure we get to the truth of the matter as a female leader. So we gotta, you gotta, for the woman them. Anyways, long story short, this morning I get the audio. So there's been CA. I don't know if you knew. Both sides said they had audio. Both sides were coming to me, Naj, you need to listen to this audio, but I can't give you the voice. I can't give you the recording. You got to come to my phone. And I was like, what kind of mid-age thing this is? Either you can trust me with it and then not get shared, or you won't, because we don't have gas for this kind of thing. And plus it's COVID. You might have the Delta variant, but I digress. Anyways, in my inbox, so I get one this morning. And well, what a time.
Just one.
Just one. I asked for the other. They said, nah, they're going to, move on. They're going to be above board on this one. I think it's all funny. It's very hilarious. So I get one today. And because it was in a private meeting, and I have to use wisdom, we all have to use wisdom with this, that there's a reason I cannot and I will not share it on air. By this time, though, I think the whole of Nassau got it, because people sharing it back to me. And so you're trying to figure out how that happened, but I digress. So I cannot air this clip on air for legal reasons. It was a private matter. You got to leave that one out there, but we can discuss it to a degree. This is what my attorney said. You can discuss what's on it. It's in the public domain.
Can it be transcribed?
It can be transcribed. Now, who's going to transcribe it for me?
Okay.
Someone should transcribe it. So let's give you a gist. I'll just say this. And I know you heard it, CA. I know you heard the audio. You heard
yes.
That it's a 6-minute clip, right? It started off the bat, very much an entertaining one. It confirms at the beginning what the leader, Madam Kumalafe, said, that Mr. Boykin Smith did walk up to the front, not told to do so uninvited when someone was on the floor, and you heard the crowd say, hold on, wait. I mean, big rustling in the crowd. Hold on, wait, don't, where you going? No, this is order. Then one fella says, I know Robert's rule. I flipping gone to school for Roberts, and it became a thing. It was a thing. It was like a whole thing. It was a thing. And I was like, whoa.
Is it Roberts or Rawlings? I don't know.
It's Robert's rules, man. It ain't
I don't
Roberts.
know.
Don't bring Roberts in this, man. The good man. The what?
The accent was thick. I couldn't understand what they was talking about.
No.
And I didn't know no Roberts. I know the Rollins them though. They related to the Rolls. They changed their name.
You're so shady. You need a lot of Jesus. You just shady. But we digress.
Rollins.
Yeah, right. So that ended up being, that was that. And then you heard whom we believe, based on the voice, was because you heard Fane Thompson saying, allegedly, and I think that's him, how the audio sounded, that he can walk anywhere. He can go anywhere he wants to go, right? He can go anywhere he wants to go. And then they were like, no, he can't. And, that's the Robert's rules thingy. We want order, blah, blah, blah. And so I was waiting for the lunch scene. I was waiting for what seemed like there would be this lunch, because the Madam Kumalafe said that she felt threatened that Fane Thompson lunged at her. And so she felt threatened, and then she was held back by the women of the party. Well, from what I heard in this voice note, there was never any conversation, and you can tell me if I missed it, never any conversation between her and Fane Thompson. Nowhere in that was there any conversation directed between she and Fane Thompson. Did I miss that? Did you hear of any conversation?
I must wait for the video, because I cannot picture it in my mind, the lunging. But, if I had the video, I could actually see the lunging, but the audio did not suggest that.
Yeah. Someone said, play it so we can believe you. Listen, you ain't got to, I don't have to play it for you to believe me. You gonna get it. By now, it's everywhere. So it was, so what happened then was, now the whole place is in an uproar, because it seems as if, there was tension. Interestingly, Mr. Thompson apparently had the audio, the phone somewhere on his person already recorded from when he walked in. So I don't know, he must have suspected something or thought it was necessary to press record before he entered the space.
It reminds me of someone, a leader of another party. And that leader of another party stay recording people. You just don't speak to him in private because...
Uh-oh. All right. I'm pumping the audio here. I'm pumping the audio. See, his audio just gone crazy. Hold on. Someone says, you can hear Mrs. Kumalafi say, excuse me. Fane Thompson said, don't say excuse me to me, an uproar. And then you can hear a physical scuffle. Ha! I don't know. I can't recall that part. Maybe it was there because what I heard next, and let's see if CA got his audio right. No, CA, the devil jump out in your audio, my boy. You need to come back in. We'll select and come again. Nah. Yeah, devil in your audio. So this is one of those things where, and I'll let CA restart and come back in. So then you hear in this audio after that, was this, so when you hear the whole process of, okay, he's allowed to walk in, and he's allowed, and speaking for Boykin, you know, he's allowed to walk in and whatnot. This is where you see the tension starts to build. Because it does seem, and from what was said, he's getting hacked, you might be right. From what was said by Madam Kumalafe, indeed, Boykin did walk up, and he was seemingly out of order in doing so. So that the question of were they there to cause an uproar? Were they there to cause this sort of friction? That's the argument that is being presented, right? So, but the part where there's this lunge or where there was this interaction, you don't hear that between Fane Thompson and Madam Kumalafe. So that's where in this audio, where I am, saying, okay, I don't see what she was talking about, feeling threatened for her life. But what you do hear then is that one of the advisors, one of her right hand, Mr. Ambristas, allegedly sounds like him, like based on the voice, sounds like it was one of her persons saying, let's wrap the meeting up. And then you hear Fane Thompson saying, no, you guys called me for the meeting, right? You guys called us to be here. You can't wrap it up. Then boom, scuffle happened. You know, we're going to use the word scuffle because it sounded like he get rough right up. It sounded like Lowen's shirt was getting pulled together and rough up in the corners. Cecil, I don't know. I think it was from what I heard, it kind of corroborated Fane Thompson's account that he was attacked, but we don't know. It's alleged because you didn't see it. You can hear the scuffling.
But definitely, Nahaja, we need like Fane Thompson to actually call in, right? But definitely, this recording reminds me, and hopefully you can hear me.
Fane calling now. Okay.
Oh, there you go. I'll yield.
Oh, just listen. Okay, let's go. Okay. Fane, you're on the line.
Good afternoon, Nahaja. Good afternoon, Bahamala.
Good afternoon. What's up?
Well, first, let me say, let me apologize about the confusion about my attempt to get on the show on another occasion. And let me say to certain people who are listening, you need not worry about me. I've never been sued in my life for anything that I say or do. And I won't put anybody in that position. And in particular, my baby sister, Nahaja Black. Now, having said that, what you have is a record of an event. It is the only record, but for another record I'm announcing on your show that I do have. When we went to this meeting, we were concerned for our physical safety. Not we, I was. I communicated to my friend Omar Smith. Omar, forgive me for calling your name. And I said, Omar, shall I carry or shall we carry security? Omar said, Fane, no, not to worry about it. It was funny. It was a joke. Our concern that we have the meeting on Zoom was born of the fact that what we saw on a WhatsApp call were the remonstrations of a very angry leader. The remonstrations, and the word remonstrations, Ms. Komalafi, please check the definition. We saw the remonstrations, which meant that there seemed to be some protests in the room about us actually not appearing, but appearing by Zoom. The issue was the constitutionality of her position as leader of the party. That was the point that I was to address. The lead by Boykin had another presentation he wanted to make. He wanted to use his laptop. That in itself was for some reason a contentious issue. Well, once we got there, the tape will show. At no time, please let me speak to every Bahamian woman that I love dearly. My 5 women in my life, my mother, my 3 daughters, my granddaughter, Kyrie, and let me speak to the Bahamian women who I have loved and those who don't love me no more. I have never in my life disrespected a woman to the point of anger or lunging at them. My God, it was the biggest lie from the pits of hell. Having said that, let me continue. Once we got there, I recognized how steamy the room was. For some reason, as soon as we sat, and I was sitting when this happened, but I was sitting catty corner to the leadership table. And the leadership table was the deputy leader and the leader. I was sitting catty corner to them because every time something happened vis-a-vis a boycott or some point I raised, the room literally at the back went up. And it was the roar of disapproval by certain people in the room. I said to myself, now I'll tell you what, you can either be a punk or a man. You came here because they invited you to speak, and I said, well, let me try to speak. As I continue trying to speak, being concerned for my safety, what I did was I actually stood up. And as I stood up, I was driven against the wall by DJ Carroll, the chaplain of the party. I'm talking it straight now. It ain't no lies. And for all the principals in Guardian Radio, you covered. You are covered. This is a barrister speaking now. I was driven against the wall by DJ Carroll, amongst other persons. I don't even know who they are.
Oh, wait. 1 second, Finn. Hold on. Okay. Because I have to ask this. I have to ask this now before you go any further, because you had an opportunity to say all of this on Monday.
I get you.
And what happened on Monday?
What happened on Monday essentially was this. And forgive me again, I'm Nahaja. And I see my people on there. What happened was I felt that I ought to have had the last word. Nahaja, it was not your mistake. It was not your fault.
I know it wasn't my fault. I know that.
It was the way in which the show was organized that made me feel that from a tactical point of view, let her put her case in air, and then I will come back. Because you see, I knew what I had in my possession. When I tell people I have something, I don't unfold. They did not know that the entire event was recorded, not just by me, and not just one recording. There are multiple recordings for persons in that room, not just by me. And I'm telling you that the time will come when this will unfold. Anyhow, the recording will show you. I never spoke to her. I never spoke to the leader. I've never called her a dog. I've never had a communication with her.
You never called her. Listen, okay, hold on. Time is it. Let me just.
I promise you. I was very quickly. I don't want to be too long. Because I know you have a lot of people who want to call in. I never said to her during that meeting, "You are a dog." Never. In fact, I never spoke to Arentia Komalafe that day. Later on, the evening after the big event took place, I left. I was shuffled out by two men that I remember. One Zhivago Black. Let me stop the names. Two young men shuffled me out. One who was very concerned for my safety and walked me to make sure I got out of there safely. At no time did I speak to the leader. It was later on, after I got out, that the deputy leader called me and asked me to have a conversation with him about some issues. I don't know what they were. I kid you. I plead guilty. I plead guilty to using some choice language. I plead guilty to being very upset. I plead guilty to being hurt. I plead guilty for being terrified, and I reacted. I never spoke to Arentia Komalafe. It is a tale from that part of hell. It is not true. It never happened. The audio confirms my story. It is unfortunate it has had to have gotten here, and I can explain how the history as to how we got into that room that day. I can explain that history. But
let me ask you this before I let you go. Why? Okay, because I remember our first conversation. On Monday, you said sub judice. You said that you could not speak on this, but you're speaking on it now. Are you not filing? Is this not going into court?
I have not filed a document yet. I said this matter could become sub judice. I have not filed any documents yet, to be fair to Guardian Radio and to everybody who is responsible. I have not filed documents. We have instructed counsel. We have not been advised yet. When the event takes place, that will be a public announcement, which I'm going to leave right there. That's going to be a public announcement. So what I'm trying to say is, at no time was any violence visited upon the leader. At no time was the leader lunged at by me. And I invite anyone who wants to tell the truth to step forward and tell the truth. I wasn't close enough to the leader to lunge at her. I was about 2 or 3 steps or 2 or 3 rows of people behind from the point where she sat. There was no lunging at her. That's manifestly false. I'm amazed that actually was said. It was said because again, the audio confirms that. There's no exchange between us. I was in that room for no more than 4 minutes when I was physically set upon by, again, I'm going to be careful, operatives of the leader of the Democratic National Alliance, including family members and friends. Let me say family members. Let me restrict it. The room was with the incitement to to derision against myself and persons who were trying to take the point had already been set. When he walked in, the room was thick with murmuring. It was difficult for me initially to find somewhere to sit. I realized then that this was a place where perhaps I need to just speak and get out. Now that other people will confirm at another time.
All right, let me let one last question before I let you go, because we got to take a break. Nuri,
Two quick questions, Fane. Why was the meeting called in the first place? And second, why did you decide to record it? You felt the need that it needed to be recorded. And thirdly, if you can remember, what type of adjudication that you're trying to pursue? What is it? What is the charges or possible charges that you plan to bring forward?
First, okay, the action, I don't really want to talk too much about the action because, again, Guardian Radio's lawyers are listening to the conversation. I understand what's going on here. First, let me say that I reserve my rights. Now, C.A. Nuri, if you want to speak to me about that, you're my family, you're my friend. You could call me and I'll explain in detail. And watch my page, watch my Facebook page. But having said that, why did I feel the need to take the recording device then? Once I hit the meeting, I had spoken to some friends of mine earlier, and I said to them, listen, I have a sense of ill ease. I said, should I get security? I said to the gentleman, I said to the guys, let's get security. One of them laughed at it. They thought it was funny. I mean, I won't call his name. He thought it was funny. My instinct was right. When I was walking in, by instinct, the barrister in me, and God knows that I understand my history in this country, but the barrister in me said, Fane Thompson, cover yourself. I turned the device on. As I walked in, they did not know that my device in my upper left-hand pocket was running. From the minute I walked in, and to the minute two young men, one who was almost near tears, walked me out, the recording device was on. I have no difficulty in saying that. Had I not had that on, you would not have heard this truth. You would not have heard this truth. This is the truth that I share with you because I love Orinthia Komalafe, but she's not.
Now, okay, well, I mean, now you love. This is a weird relationship. You love Orinthia Komalafe.
I do, and I love the women in the country. I fought before I engage in conflict. Nahaja, I walk away. Girlfriends of mine will tell you, I walk away. I will run away from a conflict with a woman. I literally have done that before. And those who are listening to me know it to be the truth.
Let me ask you the last thing before I let you go.
I do not insult the Bahamian women. I have 5 important Bahamian women in my family.
Are you, let me ask you, Fane. Are you trying, the first person say, and folks say they believe you, others say that, you were there to sabotage. One of the things that was said by the leader of the DNA, and we're going to, trust me, this is not going to be one of those belabored conversations with the DNA after this or the situation here after this. It won't be belabored. But I have to ask, because she said something that was interesting. She said that persons have been planted in the party. Were you a plant, Fane? Were you a plant? Were you someone who was there to sabotage the DNA?
Let me say this unequivocally. I was a part of the DNA as it started to rise in the country. Banville McCartney had my every confidence. I felt that he's a man who would achieve great things. He ran his course. The Constitution said 2 terms he had to stand down. I continued, if only just to guide the new regime, if that's the context within which I explain that. No more than that. I have been absent from the DNA for 2 years. Off and on, if they called me in to do a training, I would have done it. There was never a relationship I paid them money. I had a consultancy relationship and a support relationship with the first DNA. Let me put that on the record. A consultancy. You read between the lines as regards what that means. I also had a supporting type relationship because the old leadership of the DNA in many ways turned to me and I turned to them and we assisted each other quite well. What I'm suggesting to you is I've never ever thought to involve myself in this particular DNA. This rendition of the DNA was another DNA. So to sabotage the party. Let me say this unequivocally so that the Bahamas can hear us. I built the party before she reached me. Me and others like me built the party. Third party politics for the last 20 years was very important to me because I believe that democracy required a marketplace which was competitive. And the DNA brought a competitiveness which was important to me. That's why I was there. I had to now make some very, very quick and serious decisions. No, Nahaja. No one has been a plant. If there's anyone who's been a plant, it's those who reached within the past 2 years or 3 years who wanted to destroy the party. Not me. I've been no plant. I was there when the plants were actually. I was there when the root was sown in the ground. And you know what? Let me say this to you too. This may be helpful. When this happened that night, this was so upsetting to me. Almost, I had to go and get a drink, and I had to get a glass of wine with a friend of mine. And I sat there and I said to myself, you know something, Fane? Don't destroy this DNA. I called the next day. The deputy leader called me and said, "Can we talk again?" Because we spoke twice that night, and I was very upset. And the next morning, I said to him, "Let my sister, my baby sister, or when to come to me and let's talk about this. I begged him to do that. I said, but that was the case. I got nowhere. I then said to the senior leadership of the party, the legacy of the party, I give you guys 7 days within which to resolve this. I don't want to be on national radio and television trying to defend whether or not I attack or I lunge at women. That is so false and so devious and so dastardly. I would never do such a thing. But what I did was I gave the leadership of the party the opportunity to fix it. They couldn't do it. The legacy leadership could not fix it. They could not do it. We are here today because of arrogance. We are here today because of the friends, family, and lovers which is descended upon this particular version of the DNA. It is not fit to be government. It is not fit to lead this country. Now, I don't say that with any pride, because many young people in the DNA have approached me. A couple have approached me, and they are saddened by this experience. They are saddened, terribly saddened by this experience.
You know, and Fane, I hear you, and I appreciate it, because the audio clip was definitely it was not good for the party. It definitely should show it sounded more than a scuffle. It was definitely more than a scuffle. And I think that this is going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out in the long run. But do you wish, and I think for me, this is the question. And I think Cecil asked you this before. What now? I mean, now that what now? Are you calling, what are you hoping that this, or what are you hoping that this will accomplish?
Another bombshell is to drop this week or early next week. I'm asking the leadership of the DNA to stand down in the Bahamian interest, in the interest of our people. I do that with a heavy heart. It's not going to happen, so this matter will go on. But I call upon the leadership of the DNA. They know who I'm speaking to stand down, to rescue the DNA from this travesty. It gets worse over the next week and a half. I don't say,
my brother.
I don't say these things lightly. And when I also want to say that I have options. I was involved in third party politics after the PLP, the CDR, now the DNA. The last 2 years, really very little activity. I have to decide what's good for Fane Thompson. And if it means that I must protect my constitutional rights to move about, to not be detained, to not be attacked by way of a trespass to my person, exacted upon me and another member in that particular room that night, then I'm going to protect my rights. I call upon those who believe in the Bahamas to listen to those who are prepared to speak. There are a number of people who are coming out now, and they're going to come with more and more and more and more. And I'm telling you, it will become untenable within a week or two.
Thank you.
The DNA to continue. It will become untenable.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate the call in. That's a surprise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was something. That was Cecil.
I'm a little uneasy with the word bombshell. You know, I think of court battles and threats. Just get you sued and get you locked up and now in charges.
Yeah. Bombshell is a real word.
People look at it as a threatening word. But I understand Fane Thompson's passion. He is a defender of alternative parties. This is who he is, right? I feel just from listening to him speak that he is hurt. He is hurt because he takes this alternative passion and building this deepening democracy in this vein personally, and I think that emotions are involved. And I'm hoping that in 7 good days, that passions are calmed, and that they are able to come together and decide to move forward, even move forward together or move forward separately. And I wait for the passing of the 7 good days.
The 7 good, but brother say another bombshell. Listen, I think that there's enough bombs with this one. Let's just move forward, eh? But I understand. I feel it's hurt. The audio tape was not favorable. It didn't paint the DNA in a good light.
Something did happen. You can definitely there was
something did happen.
Wrong altercation. You could hear a scuffle in the background. And I understand.
I like scuffle. We're gonna take a break.
We can't use the word scuffle.
No, I like the word scuffle. I think it's
okay. We can use the word scuffle. Definitely, some type of scuffle happening in the background, and most unfortunate. But
let's take a break. Hold that thought. We got to go to break. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back right after this.
rejuvenate, refresh, treat yourself. Immerse yourself in total comfort. Pamper yourself. After all, you're worth it. Relax. Rid yourself of all life stresses. At Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa, you will find everything you need to enhance your body and spirit. Call today at 323-6711 and begin your journey to serenity at Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa.
Enjoy an elevated mobile experience with BTC, giving you
unlimited talk for the best conversations, unlimited data for all your online fun,
and unlimited roaming to stay connected while overseas.
For just $50 per line.
Unlock unlimited mobile talk, data, and roaming when you sign up for BTC Superfast Fiber Internet with speed starting at 100 megabits per second. Enjoy more great savings and value. Upgrade or sign up today. Visit any BTC store or btcbahamas.com. Conditions apply.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black.
Listen, and you're listening to the hit of the Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. What a time, y'all. My phone, Cecil, my phone is blowing up, my boy. Just some person said, we're tired of this BS and sent me another audio clip. Ooh, child, and I haven't had that's got a chance to snip it. And so you could hear what sounds like, what, listen, you know, this is.
You mean the blows? The sound like blows?
Oh, no. This is now countering Fane.
Man, this is getting too much, man.
It's back and forth. I'll tell you,
especially for a third party. You know? Let's talk about the PLP and the F&M.
They got no drama. PLP and F&M. I still want the video from Code Smith and whoever's fight there back in the day.
Oh, Gibson. But that's another thing.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, we still imagine if we had video then, that would have been fancy. Karate chops and jumbo kicks, and then if we had video of Loretta putting a smack down on good Mr. Rollins.
We saw the swollen face in the imprint.
The 5 finger, the Buddha's palm is what Loretta Butler did to young Mr. Rollins. He's a good guy. Shout out to Andre. I really like him. He's a friend.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So listen, I will say this, and when I tell you, the phone blowing up, someone says, I want to hear that. Yeah, no, I want to too. I couldn't hear it during the break. It was quick. So
leave them third party people alone.
Yeah. No, let them fight amongst themselves now. But at the same time, look, this is what is sad to me. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahash Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. My good friend C.A. Nuri joining us. What is, I think, sad to me with all of this, the entertainment factor is high, right? But the sad part to me is that it is a third party, and it is one of those third parties that has a place in my heart. Everybody know I didn't vote for them once, right? I didn't vote for Cassius. I didn't vote for the DNA. I love my third parties.
And plus, you vote for minutes. You are responsible for a lot of problems in this country. I'm just letting you know. You have
3 strikes and I'm out.
You need to stop voting.
Should my citizenship be revoked?
Something needs to happen. I'm just saying, it's a trend with you.
Because this is what the sad part about it is. You listening to that recording, and I have the other one that just came to my phone, so I got to figure out Someone says, Nahaja, you and Fain is fence opposite. Listen, the sad part about it is, who pays my bill other than my husband and Jesus? Child, I owe nobody owes me anything. No party could buy me. I just say that, right? So one of the things that I think is sad for me in all of this is that it is not a good look for the party that is in its third term. And this and something Kumalafe said that I agree with. These parties, all parties have this sort of infighting. Yes. Now, do they have literal fighting? I don't think so. Maybe they do. Well, of course they do, because we know about
They do. And history shows that.
Yeah, and history shows that. So there is that level of fighting, right? That this happens. What I think happens, or where we are, and I said this yesterday, Cecil, and I want to get your take on it, right? What I am concerned about is, what do people think about something like this, right? When we are looking at the landscape of our country, when we're looking at the politics of the country, and I don't know what to do when it comes to voting. I don't know what to do I'm still back to that place I was 5 years ago, undecided. And, well, I mean, I figured I decided on what I ain't gonna do this lot. But I mean, I don't know how this paints the picture. Folks who I've spoken to outside of the circle saying that it doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't, doesn't give them confidence, right?
But this doesn't bother me much, Nahaja. I understand what the DNA is. It's an alternative party that is building. Mm-hmm. And just as alternative parties build, they go through turmoils up and down. And the idea is longevity and survivability.
And they are the longest
and
ones.
they are surviving.
Yes.
The idea that they are able to survive these type of hiccups shows that they are a party to be appreciated in general. These other parties, they start up and then they close down. So the idea that the DNA continues to fight on and attract certain people to support them shows that the party should be respected.
Yeah. Well, of course, the party needs to be respected. Of course, the party needs to be respected because it's been here. It's been here. And I think, too, for me, the hurt is that, it is, one of those parties that I really have an affinity for. Don't know if I'll vote for, but I have an affinity for. And so this is that challenge where for me, who's a lover of the independent or the third party voice, you don't want to see things like this get out in the public sphere where it will paint a negative picture. But it is a third party. And right now, I mean, at this point, was the DNA strong as a third party in this race right now? They were an option. But when you see COI coming up, Coalition of Independents, at some point was looking better than, obviously not now. I think Coalition has lost a lot of ground as well. So, I mean, my God, look at Ali McIntosh's group of the Bahamas Constitution Party. They were said to have won 2 debates, right? So they had a win. And then this whole thing, they're on the... I give up. I don't even have the energy to dispense with all of this. I think it's just too much. Can the third party just rise up and do their thing and give me an option, please? Or else are we voting? I don't even know who's in my constituency right now. All I know is Minnis is the running on the ballot.
Yes.
That's all I got. That's all I got. That's all I got.
And that's all you need to know, right?
Yeah. That's all I know for sure. And people who are in denial, can I just say, I like third parties who are in denial, because there's a lot of denial. A lot of denial on their strength and their capacity to win. But we
have the confidence too. They all believe they'll win the general election.
But the only thing you do, the speaker said he's in it to win it yesterday. The Speaker of the House said he's in it to win it as an independent candidate. You got to support that. You got to support that when Madam Kumalafe says, "Oh, when I asked, are you ready?" Yes. What else would I say? Of course they're ready, right? Do we have all of our candidates for the seats? Do they? Do you know?
Oh, the DNA?
Yeah.
Not as yet.
Romy Duncombe, someone said, as you know very well, Romy Duncombe running in. I don't know who running in.
Ronnie, RONI. But go ahead.
Ronnie? Yeah. Someone says, Miss Coy strong. Oh Lord, here we go. The bots reach. Obviously, you don't know the temperature on the ground. You're probably right. All right. So we got some other stuff. C.A. Nuri, my good friend, joining me on the show. Said Koi is strong. Koi is strong. We obviously don't know the temperature on the ground. The DNA is strong. You know, definitely don't know the temperature on the ground there. DNA is strong. Koi is strong. I don't know what the other said, but they're strong. Done and done. Okay. Someone says Nahaja must be lost. Koi is strong. So this is what we have. This is where we at right now. All of it is, are they going to make it? We'll see how strong it is, right? I love politics. This political season is going to be fire. CA, let's go on now. Next thing in the ballot. Did you hear? I have some concerns. My concern is that we are in COVID flux. The prime minister has ended the session in the House until September 22nd. Everything points to an early election. What have you heard?
I'm hearing the same thing. I'm not sure what that means, an early election. Election is next year. I'm going toward that. But clearly the excitement on both the major parties is there. They're on the ground. They're campaigning every day. So definitely somebody knows something. I see the leader of the opposition preempted the prime minister and said yesterday the prime minister would have dissolved the House and that election would have been named, and it did not happen. And the prime minister came back and said, that man doesn't know what he's talking about. Only me one know. When the judgment will come, right? But that does not negate from the point whereas that we are preparing, the opposition is preparing, and if the prime minister decides to call the election between now and September, it means that the leader of the opposition is right. So the leader of the opposition put him in a place where he has to wait post-September to say, well,
you think
I just made a decision just now.
Everything that I've seen so far is indicating that it's true so far, that we are looking at something August, September. And that I don't know if the plan was that, then you are saying, okay, all of these things that you are rushing to do. I don't think it helps the prime minister playing this game. I really don't think it helps the prime minister playing this game. I think this is a fiery one. I think that it will backfire. This is not for the people who are in politics. The people in politics are in the game. The people in politics who are part of parties, they consider this part and parcel to the process of politics, right? And I know I'm having just a little bit of hiccup with my internet there, but it's part and parcel to politics. So, but for the citizenry who isn't a part of the game, for us who are saying, okay, well, listen, I just focus on it, let us get it done. I think that we will be fine. We are tired of the gamesmanship. We just want to know when is it. We want to know when is it, because this rush now, imagine the craziness, this rush to go and register. All the prime minister is saying is register to vote soon as possible, soonest. What is that? And then now you have the PLP, or you have Philip Brave Davis saying, listen, it's going to happen by Tuesday. That was yesterday. It didn't happen. That is causing folks, that's heightening the need and the demand. And there's a great get out to vote initiative too, if that's the case. But we're in the height of a pandemic that is as close to the second wave or just as bad as the second wave or worse. And now we have people lining up to register. I think that this is crazy to me. I think that if he continues to play this game, it hurts him more than if he would just say when we're going to vote. I think it's fire. I don't think it's wise.
I agree with you, actually. And it can backfire, especially if he does make any announcement anytime in the immediate future. It means that the opposition was correct and that he tarried a bit because he was shamed. And that would be most unfortunate.
I think he's shame. I really do think he's, I think it's a waste of our resources. As someone says, the competent authority promised fixed dates for elections. And at this point, are we surprised even? I'm not even surprised. What I'm disappointed is that people are dying. The prime minister can't give us a straight answer on what is going on. Do we have you understand how simple questions are just not getting answered. And we're talking politics like this is the season. We're now in political election mode. We've suspended the House for 13 weeks. There's legislation that was promised that hasn't even been tabled or that has been brought to the floor, but has been shelved and not passed. And we're talking in the last year in office, you're not even doing your job. It reminds me of when he first started and he took how many weeks off to celebrate, doing the congratulatory tour all across the Bahamas. Candia did a wonderful article called Abandoned Agenda 2 weeks ago, I think, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. This is the most, I don't know if to say disappointing. Disappointing would have meant that my expectation was high after 4 years. But at this point, considering how he talks about the lives of Bahamian people, nothing that I've seen in recent weeks and months, apart from the rhetoric, building buildings, but the field hospitals aren't there. People are sick and they're sitting on porches in the hospital. You're not dealing or addressing these things, but you're giving more money to PHA when PHA can't give us a good audit. Where is the reports on how PHA is spending the money? Why is the AC still shut down in certain places? Do we have real quarantine stations? People are dying, getting sent home, Cecil, and we're taking time off. What happened to the medicinal cannabis bill? What happened to the emergencies, medical emergencies bill? What happened to the Ombudsman? I think Ombudsman Act.
Shelved.
I mean,
call another one so I can say the word shelved.
I think there's a lot more. I just got to remember them, right? Because everything is shelved, and then the emergency orders are supposed to. My frustration is that now we're in the political heat of politics season. So the trolls are intact, fake accounts are intact. So money is being spent on social media. Sam mentions e-government. Well, sure, that's a whole other thing. E-government. What's your take?
The Prime Minister needs a new mandate. That means election must be called soon in order to get a new mandate so the country go forward. Clearly, we would need to borrow some money soon in order to bolster up our economy. And I believe these foreign entities are concerned about what will happen in the future in terms if the government changes. So I believe the Prime Minister needs to secure that in order to get access to more funds, in order to put in place these plans and operations that he has in the back burner. So when that's the narrative said, don't worry, election is next year. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that because clearly there's a need for us to make some crucial decisions so that we can pick up some stones and build our economy better. So I believe election is immediate, and I see election before the end of the year. I see election before September, before schools open.
Well, it would be good if I'm honestly, I'm there. Ring the bell.
You're just ready. You're tired.
Let's ring it.
Get it over with.
Let's just get it out of the way. Let's get the new mandate. Let's see what the Bahamian people want now. Let's see what they want now, right? If Bahamian people decide that they want the FNM again, then you know what? I got to shut up. We all got to shut up and just go with it.
For the next 5 years, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the next, 6 months, because everything after the honeymoon of 6 months, you finish, right? That's the honeymoon period over. And if it's the PLP, then you do the same. You move on. You give them 6 months grace, and then you start to ask these tough questions. What are we doing? What are you doing? If it's the DNA, if it's the coalition, whatever it is, let's get this out of the way. Let the Bahamian people make a decision, and then we move forward. I think we're just twirling around. The Prime Minister's lost a lot of I think he's lost the feel. I need some FNM to tell me that they feel on the ground, like the COI people and DNA, that on the ground, they're strong on the ground. Have you heard any FNM say we're strong on the ground?
There are a number of FNMs who are on the ground, but I don't think they're actively campaigning as in contrast to the PLP. The PLP is on the ground and they are touching everybody left, right, and centers. You can see that their machinery, their war room, as they call it, is in operation, and you see that money is being spent. I'm not necessarily sure that the FNM is equating that and matching that as yet, right? You see individual FNMs who understand the suggestion of the prime minister, and is now working to secure their seats, especially the new candidates. But that passion, that commitment, that oomph is not being. I haven't felt it or seen it for the FNM party as yet.
Yeah, and I think that's where this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But guess what? We have coming on the other side of the 5 o'clock news hour, Dr. Dwayne Sands. We're going to be joined back with CA Nuri, but we got my good friend, Dr. Dwayne Sands, joining us. We're going to be talking about COVID. We're going to be talking about really the state of healthcare right now. Former Minister.
And Nahaja, ask about the field hospitals. We need one or two field hospitals. It's a panic now. I'm concerned. I am concerned. So you need to ask Dwayne Sands some tough questions. Not those baby questions you gave him the last time.
No.
I want to know about the field hospitals. I want to know. I want to know how the narrative changed. That usually it's how the hospital is running. That's why these people were dying from comorbidities from COVID. And now the narrative changed that it's the vaccine or lack of the vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
Ask him about that, please.
Yeah. We got to ask him. Let's see what he gives us now, because he's now on the ticket. Right? Got to see if Doc's still straight, if he's a candid fellow. Let's see what he's saying. Yeah. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We will be back right after this.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
You're listening to the Guardian News Network. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taylor Ferguson. Here's what's making news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announcing today he will soon have a lot more to say about the recent spike in COVID-19 cases as he stressed the need for residents to get vaccinated.
Ladies and gentlemen, to restore our economy and our country, more Bahamians must be vaccinated.
Deputy Prime Minister Desmond Bannister accusing Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis of causing unnecessary panic when he said over the weekend the House of Assembly would be dissolved this week. Hundreds of Bahamians lined up outside voter registration centers on New Providence and Grand Bahama for hours on Monday to register or change their address.
The Prime Minister already said it. He's the only one who knows when election day is. I think if you listen to the leader of the opposition, we should have been hearing about election being called today. It hasn't been called, so obviously he has no credibility. This is another strike against his credibility. It is so very, very sad.
The Court of Appeal has dismissed government's application for a stay of a landmark ruling on citizenship. Last month, the appellate court upheld a ruling by Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder that every person born in the Bahamas after July 9th, 1973, shall become a citizen of the Bahamas at birth if either parent is a citizen, regardless of their marital status. Government has been granted leave to appeal to the Privy Council. Attorney General Carl Bethel says government accepts the Court of Appeal's ruling and the matter will proceed to the Privy Council. The Margaritaville Beach Resort and Fins Up Water Park officially opening today with a ribbon-cutting ceremony attended by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and executives of China Construction America.
Margaritaville Beach Resort opening marks the beginning of an exciting new journey of the Point. We firmly believe in the prosperity of the Bahamas, and the local tourism industry will be further promoted with the development and other projects we are planning in the surrounding area.
The Prime Minister called the development a major factor in helping the city of Nassau and the Nassau waterfront come alive. That's what's making news. I'm Taylor Ferguson. AP News is coming up next.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
coronavirus update. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. 2 days after Canada announced the border with the U.S. will be open to fully vaccinated travelers from the States on August 9th, the Department of Homeland Security says the land borders with both Canada and Mexico will remain closed to non-essential travel until at least August 21st. Coronavirus cases are rising around the globe. AP's Ben Thomas reports.
The World Health Organization says more than 3.4 million new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed around the world last week. That's an increase of 12% from the previous week.
The increase due to new variants and governments relaxing precautions at a time when not enough people have been vaccinated. The state of Alabama lags all other states in coronavirus vaccinations, some 33% getting at least one vaccine. Head football coach Nick Saban says the University of Alabama football team leads the Southeastern Conference and most likely every other big college team, with close to 90% of players vaccinated. I'm Tim McGuire.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. It's a beautiful day, y'all. A beautiful day to be alive. For a lot of us who are dealing with, some folks, we got some things that we're dealing with in terms of finances, family, health, and stay in prayer, be encouraged. These things are trivial things compared to your personal lives, personal aspirations. It is important to know what's going on in your country, and it's very good to get entertained once in a while, change your mindset. And that's what the talk of the show has been so far. My good friend C.A. Nuri is joining me today, but I want to bring on, while C.A. just waits a few seconds, I want to bring on none other than the illustrious, my good beige friend, Dr. Dwayne Sands. Doc, how are you?
Right here, beige, boy. You've been talking to my wife. She's called me beige too, So how was the vacation?
Ain't nothing wrong with beige.
The
vacation was fantastic, Doc.
You got all these people lining up to co-host or to host this show. This must be like a prime slot in the afternoon.
Well, listen, next time, you can decide as a political person if you want to host the show, but I think that the station would charge a fee. Just throw that out there. Just throw that out there.
No,
but all right, Doc.
No, thank you.
Let's talk, Doc. There's some serious stuff going on, of course. Whilst on vacation, things have not changed in the positive when it comes to COVID, but actually in the negative when it comes to COVID-19 and our health with this pandemic. A lot of things have been said, weird things like there's two wars on COVID, the two pandemics, one for the vaccinated and one for the unvaccinated. Weird statements have been said. And in particular, that was said by our Prime Minister. I want to start off first and foremost. Do you believe, Doc, as a former Minister of Health, as a physician who's dressed in full PPEs at work, do you believe that this government, your government, should be trusted, can be trusted with the health of the Bahamian people at this point? I know it's a weird question, but I want you to answer that for me.
The answer is yes. The government is to be trusted. And I think that the leadership takes this matter very, very seriously. Every single country, the management, the decision-making of COVID is controversial. And it leads to some pretty passionate debate. That's a euphemism for cussing and carrying on, okay? Mm-hmm. So because the implications are so massive, people can get very, very expressive when decisions are made that they think are not appropriate, or if the basis for that decision making is not laid out adequately. And so certainly I want to posit that one of the challenges we have right now is that the raw data on which decision making is being made has not been shared enough with the public. And so it leads to tremendous speculative commentary as to why things are being done and why they're not being done or how they're being done, etc. And this is an opportunity now for us to change that by being more transparent, by opening up the information, by providing data about what percentage of people that are hospitalized are vaccinated, what percentage of people that are dying were vaccinated, what percentage of people were not vaccinated, and so on and so forth. I think the more information we provide that people don't have to beg for or search for, and then if we say on the following basis, this is what we're going to do. Now, I mightn't agree with you, but now, hey, you said to me that if such and such happens, then this will follow. I got to give you a bly. But I think this is, we are now deep into the third wave, and it's getting worse. There are opportunities now for demonstrating yet again that we remain, cognizant of what's going on and able to keep this very much under control.
Well, with what you mentioned there, if you're just tuning in, Dr. Dwayne Sands joining us on the show, then what you're saying is now we have an opportunity to present and provide more data. Now we do. Is there, because it's been a long time since we've had any press conferences on this matter, and we know that the numbers have increased. The now we do, is that from your position?
And that's
unfortunate. Because
unfortunate.
the thing is, I hear you, Doc, and are you speaking? Can you speak? You're no longer the health minister, so obviously I know you cannot speak for what your decision or from a position of saying, I know this is what we're going to do. But I think that really where we are is you're saying stuff. We know where Dwayne Sands stands. Is Dwayne Sands saying that there will be more transparency because you've heard that there is going to be more transparency? Because there is an issue that we haven't had that in this process.
I can assure you that the comments that I make publicly, that my colleagues hear them as well. Now, there may be differences in terms of the tone that is used in camera than is used publicly. But, we are all in this together. Whether we like it, don't like it, every single one of us. And, I am not trying to suggest that we should hold hands and sing Kumbaya, right? But literally, if there is any issue that does not lend itself well to politics, it is health and safety. And so as much as we have seen around the world where COVID, the politics of COVID has been a powerful political issue, it is typically to the detriment of the people when it's politicized. And so what now needs to happen as we go into an election is that the PLP and the FNM and the DNA and the Coalition of Independents and whomever, the BDM or whomever, we need to sit down and define a code of conduct. We need to define how you can or how you should and will interact with the public while you have 100 cases a day and 93 people in hospital, 13 of them in the intensive care unit, and where we are about to eclipse officially the greatest number of deaths in many, many months.
And all of that said, if you're just tuning in, Dr. Dwayne Sands, all of that said, Doc, many are concerned that we are not, the fact that the Prime Minister said he will have more to say on this with COVID and its rise in numbers soon. Soon is not a date. No press conferences by the Ministry of Health. My concern is we seem to be jockeying, and when I say we, all of the Bahamas, politics is seemingly leading the conversation, and yet you mentioned the numbers that you've presented here today, where we know I think for the month of July so far, I think we've had 900 plus positive cases. So I'm concerned that there isn't enough intention or attention being placed on this matter. And we're talking about campaigning, being on the ground. The issue of confidence for me, I think, is really lacking here with this administration. I don't see what you're saying and what other physicians are stressing in the hospital.
Well, let me put it to you this way. It is impossible as politicians to ignore this. This is arguably the single greatest issue in the Bahamas right now. It is overarching. It impacts everything. It impacts the economy. It impacts employment. It impacts tourism, healthcare. We could go on and on. Education, whether our children are going to be able to go back to school. The concern about, is it safe to have our children go to face-to-face classes? And that question has to be answered. So the questions have been put, and I believe that there will be a response, and it has to be an urgent response. Now, the definition of urgency will obviously vary, but I expect certainly that there will be a formal response very, very soon. I think that it's hard to imagine the COVID being at the top of the fold every single day, the main issue on every talk show, the main issue on social media. As politicians, you have to respond. As government, you have to respond. And certainly the Ministry of Health, I think, would do well to go back to a very helpful formula, and that is to provide a forum whereby the questions that people have can be answered, and to spend as much time as is needed to answer the questions, as difficult as they may be.
Why do you think we've lost that? Why do you think it's stopped?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Would you have stopped it as Minister of Health?
Again, I don't know that that's a helpful question. I mean, it makes for a sexy question, but I don't know if it's a helpful question. So we're in a different era now.
Let me ask you, and I'll move from that.
Go ahead.
Now, what you see on the ground, what you've seen on the ground as a physician, you're in the hospital, you are wearing full PPE. Are we in a worse place today than we were in July of last year? Or are we at the same place? Where are we now, so that people can get an idea of how this is looking for us?
Without exaggeration, we're in a pretty rough spot because even though the numbers are not as high as our worst days in terms of cases, the resources that we have available to us are different. We do not have the same number of trained personnel to combat this problem. We have less than we did. And more of the patients are winding up now in the intensive care unit. You also have a peculiar scenario where patients are presenting younger and sicker. And so if you now look at the various hospitals, Grand Bahama has some 24, 25 patients. Princess Margaret Hospital, more than 30, Doctors Hospital in total, I believe 20 something, all together 90 or so, 93, I believe, patients today in hospital or yesterday. When you look at the number of nurses, respiratory technicians, and support staff to care for those patients, we simply are stretched to the max.
Wow. Well, and what was the cause of losing?
The issue?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
So when you juxtapose that to the fact that the Bahamas is third from last in terms of number of vaccinated persons per 100,000, you have a perfect storm, as it were, because the overwhelming majority of us are susceptible to infection. Now, bear in mind that vaccinated people can still get infected, eh?
Yep.
And they can still transmit COVID. So when you have, against that backdrop, now one of the sickest populations in the world, because we are fatter than anybody else, we have more hypertension than anybody else, we got more diabetes than anybody else, and we have a terrible health demographic. We now are in the epicenter of the storm, the COVID storm. So there is no reason now to feel comfortable. None. Zero.
Where we know that in the budget, we're getting $70 million is going to help to start building resources, building up the hospital. What are we doing for the emergency space? Are we doing field? I was told by physicians, and I'll be candid. I was told by physicians within the hospital that they have patients who are being sent back home. There's no room in the inn, right? They're being sent home with COVID, having to find their own form of oxygen to help them. One physician told me she had a young patient with asthma who was sent home, and he subsequently died and succumbed to COVID recently. This is what the physician told me. So we're seemingly short, not just on staff, but on space. Or maybe is it because we have no staff, we have no space? What is being done to address?
We have no. This has happened so quickly that if you look at the slope of the hospitalization curve, it's a very steep curve. So you go from 50 to 55 to 60 to 70, and now 93 people admitted to hospital, right? And then when you ask how many of those people are in ICU settings, each day that number goes up. So we now got 13 people in an ICU setting. The hospitals now find themselves literally at a point where the triage has to be incredibly critical, because you've got to decide who is going to stay in hospital. And it's not just COVID patients that are coming in, but people with cancer, people with heart disease, people with strokes, people with infections, appendicitis, broken bones, gunshot wounds, etc. And so if you ask, what about field hospitals? Well, we are functioning in field hospitals now. I mean, we have the Samaritan's Purse field facility at Princess Margaret Hospital.
Okay. And full.
Yeah, I mean, you now have expansion of the Doctors Hospital West facility. And if you look in Grand Bahama, the numbers that I believe I heard was 17 and 7. And, you know, the cases keep coming. The more active cases you have, particularly if we have, as I believe we do, the Delta variant in country, the expectation is that this thing is going to continue to climb. And it cannot be business as usual. So public health measures of social distancing, hand washing, sanitization, avoiding large crowds, and so on and so forth. We have to adopt that every time, all the time. Whether, and I've said this before, whether you take more draconian action, obviously that decision is made by a different body, a different power than me. But we're not far from that now.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
talking
afraid
about
of.
new problems. That's all.
Yeah, and I, go ahead, finish. Sorry.
I think we all have to understand that the economic resurgence that we are enjoying, people are starting to breathe. Maybe, I can work again because the hotels are full and taxi cabs have fares and so on and so forth. And people are breathing here again, and beach vendors can start to function. The only way that's going to continue is if we keep COVID as low as possible. And so every single one of us have to take this thing as our personal responsibility.
Well, and I agree with you on that, Doc. And I also know that we are hearing as a part of the narrative is that we need to get vaccinated. We all need to get vaccinated. But we also know as Bahamians that there is no vaccines. There is not sufficient supply, that even if every Bahamian today decided that they wanted to get vaccinated, that strategy will not work. So we're pushing that strategy. You want to add something to that before I move to the point? My question?
Yeah, I think, the expectation is that the next tranche of AstraZeneca vaccine will arrive in country on the 26th of July. Today is the 21st of July. They have turned down the clip or the rate of vaccination to second dose only, and that is problematic. It is an unfortunate reality that we have vaccine nationalism, and you have vaccines rotting in many countries, and poorer countries, less powerful countries, scrapping to try and get vaccines. It's a problem. Hopefully next week, once vaccines are again here, we will adopt an approach that is empathetic, supportive, compassionate towards people that have concerns and fears, the vaccine hesitant I'm talking about, that we adopt some strategies to deal with their very real concerns, as opposed to calling people stupid and saying that, hey, you just need to get over it. We're going to have to reach out, because nobody's safe until everybody's safe.
And I want to access on that point. Even if we bring in, and what's supposed to come in, we were told it's supposed to come in. We haven't really heard the final date. I think it's supposed to be 55 or 50 odd thousand doses of the vaccine. Is that the number that is correct? Somewhere in that number? Yep.
If I recall, the next tranche, and I stand to be corrected, is an additional, I think, 35,000 doses, in which we have to give 5,000 doses back to Antigua and Barbuda, and then 55,000 doses of Pfizer before the end of August. And we don't know exactly when exactly in August we will get the doses of Pfizer.
And all of those.
So that's an additional 80, let's say 80,000.
All right. And that's yes. Each one of those are 2 doses.
So potentially you can now get us up to 20%, which is still a far cry away from the 70% adult vaccination goal that seems to be the number that is the sweet spot.
Exactly. And now, and I'm sorry, Doc, and I don't mean to, forgive me for interrupting, but I wanted to get to this just to this question in mind. Even with this additional number, we are still far from herd immunity. What else should the government be doing? Should the health officials be doing? We are bringing in guests that are coming in who are told you don't have to take a PCR test. when you travel in the country. Once you arrive, once you're vaccinated, you're good. But we all know that vaccinated people can can be COVID positive. And I'm wondering, we're still, no matter, this number is far from herd immunity numbers. We have yet to address the hesitancy for the vaccines. There must be another strategy than telling people get vaccinated when you know there is not enough vaccines that will be in the country that will help you solve this problem of people dying, getting sick. What am I missing, Doc? Maybe I missed something in one of your good meetings. How is this this problem?
The decision making is very fluid, and what was an excellent approach when the numbers were down at 30, 20 cases a day and far fewer people were in hospital and essentially no people were in ICU. And there was a time recently, a month ago or so, 5-6 weeks ago, when units were empty, okay, or just about empty. And at that point, the decisions certainly seem not only appropriate, but progressive and forward thinking. And the challenge with COVID is that it changes on you in a heartbeat, boom. So, you know, we're talking about the Delta variant. Chile now, I believe, has the Lambda variant, and they are seeing some peculiar things. And we don't even know what variants we have in the country. So we have to now fly almost blind by the seat of our pants because we don't have some of this data. And it is going to mean that we're going to have to expand our access to that type of data in order to make more reasonable predictions about where this thing is headed. And those predictions will not be loved by everybody because it's going to impact the business model for hotels, for cruise ships, for taxi cabs, for buses, for schools, etc. And I can assure you that the tension that we hoped would be gone, it ain't going nowhere for a little while. And it's going to be very important for us to continue this dialogue, turn down the tirade, and let's actually talk to each other about what we should do. That requires a level of responsiveness and tolerance for divergent views. And I think, and I gotta say it, would be a good reason why we ought to let the emergency orders expire and move to a different method of adjudication of these problems.
Oh, I'm happy you said that because that was going to be my next question. The emergency orders are set to expire. But I noticed we haven't, the House is in recess, and the emergency medical bill that was to be discussed that would give us some sort of way of dealing with these sort of public health issues without the need of emergency powers hasn't even been brought to the floor yet. And the House is closed.
Isn't it amazing that something that deprives people of certain liberties, fundamental liberties, intended to be a short-term solution to a difficult emergency problem. Now we're saying, boy, we can't let it go.
No, we won't let it go. We need to let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. Okay.
Yes.
Let's go with a different approach. And perhaps what we will do is we will engage more of civil society in the discussion and get in a very open and transparent way the views of the Chamber of Commerce and the views of the church and the views of the ordinary man and woman on the street, because then you can't hide and say, you know, when it works, boy, I had that idea, but when it doesn't work, you know, we got to make some decisions. We are watching the UK throw all caution to the wind, say, damn the torpedoes. And it'll be interesting to see how that experiment with their level of vaccination works. My prediction is that they are not going to stay as open as they are for long. Australia right now, 80% of the country is locked down. So this thing is very fluid because these variants, they can wreak havoc.
Yeah, and we don't know which variants are in country. 2 more questions before I let you go. There's this talk of mixing vaccines. Now we know we have Pfizer coming in, we have AstraZeneca coming in. Is that what from what you've heard? Dr. Dwayne Sands joining us on the show here, Member of Parliament for Elizabeth, former Minister of Health. Is that something that you've heard that is an option for us? Are we going to be mixing vaccines?
I think we are. This is very fluid. I mean, we are getting these studies, these reports, these recommendations. Some of them are coming from the wrong place, the manufacturers. You know, they say that no fisherman calls his fish stink, right? So right. Pfizer is saying, hey, you need a 3rd shot. And immediately the FDA and the CDC said, no. People don't need a 3rd shot. But I will say now that I think it is not, I think it's a pretty attractive idea to complete the AstraZeneca cycle of 2 shots and then follow that up with another different vaccine to promote a stronger immunity. Now, that's an idea, okay? That's an idea. It hasn't been tested. We don't know what the side effects of that approach would be, but it seems as if, given the response of the vaccines to the new variants, that that type of approach may provide better protection for the variants that are here now, the ancestral variant, and the ones that are coming down the pike. So I am thinking about now, having gotten 2 doses of AstraZeneca, at some point getting a dose of Pfizer.
What? You were going to get a 3rd dose? No,
I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Well, I have 2 more questions for you now, because I did say 2 more questions, but I'm Baptist, so I didn't really mean I was finished. So will schools open? Do you think schools will be opening in August? And then for September, do you think the new school year, we will be full face-to-face, or we'll be back to hybrid? What are your thoughts based on what you've seen?
The only way it will, in my view, is if we get this under control.
Do you see it getting it under control?
Go into August. If we go into August and we are running at 100, 110, 120, 130, 140 cases per day, I hope that is not the experience. And I'm not, I don't know that that's going to happen, although some of the forecasts do not look good. If we have a significant number of cases, then no, school will probably continue as virtual education. So there's a lot on the line, and from the competent authority down to the smallest boy and girl in this country, I think we all need to know what role we individually have to play. I think those of us that are eligible for vaccination, once they're available, we should be vaccinated. But even if you're vaccinated, you should continue to wear a mask. You should not be consorting with people that are not a part of your circle. And stay away from the Junkanoo rush outs. Stay away from large crowds. This thing is not over.
And last one, this time I promise, last one. Someone asked the question with the dosing, if they got the first dose and they're waiting on the second and they're past their time, that window, when, the 8 to 10 weeks, I think it is, for your second dose, is there a problem? Is there a challenge there?
We don't think so. If you are within that 12 to 16 weeks or so. And that is one of the reasons why the COVID vaccination task force has emphasized second doses with no less than 8 weeks typically, so that we don't run into the situation where people get out of that window, right? Mm-hmm. But, again, you're asking very, very important questions. And sometimes you just have to say, I don't know. We don't know. And we would like to find out because the implication question asked, should we impose, strong positions or rules like France? I don't think we're there. We certainly, I think we should continue to use carrots as opposed to sticks, that we need to do much better on our education campaign and information campaign. And we're going to need to hold some very candid sessions so that people can hear both sides, or all the sides, and have their concerns addressed. And I think we now need to move a part of this campaign into the hands of the primary care physicians and healthcare workers that people trust. Not to say that they don't trust the big vaccination centers, but some people, if my doctor say it's okay, then okay. Or if the community nurse say it's okay, because she's been taking care of me now for 20 years.
Dr. Dwayne Sands, Doc, I have tons more questions for you, but I know that you're busy and at work. So I'll let you go. Thank you so much for the time. And of course, be safe. And I appreciate you sharing with us today, Dr. Dwayne Sands. Thanks so much, Doc.
Welcome.
You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We will be back after this. My good friend, C.A. Nuri. That was a lot there to digest. The question of do you trust? I walked out of that with the question, when I asked the question, can we trust the government with our health? And I walked out of that saying, no, I still don't. No, I don't. We'll be back after this.
In life, there are always challenges. Today, we find ourselves having to be more self-sufficient, socially aware, and technically savvy. At J.S. Johnson, we are committed to our customers by providing cost-effective insurance solutions. No matter what your insurance needs, we will always be here for you. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com. J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers, giving you peace of mind.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Enjoy an elevated mobile experience with BTC, giving you
unlimited talk for the best conversations, unlimited data for all your online fun,
and unlimited roaming to stay connected while overseas.
For just $50 per line.
Unlock unlimited mobile talk, data, and roaming when you sign up for BTC Superfast Fiber Internet with speed starting at 100 megabits per second. Enjoy more great savings and value. Upgrade or sign up today. Visit any BTC store or btcbahamas.com. Conditions apply.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. My good friend C.A. Nuri joining me. C.A., we just had Dr. Dwayne Sands join us on the show. What were your thoughts on his comments?
It's time. Let me fix my mic. Is it better?
Yeah, better.
It's a sobering conversation, especially knowing that we still in the middle of the pandemic, and it doesn't seem as if the pandemic is over for a certain group of.
Okay, we lost you, CA. You're talking and I can't hear you anymore. Can't hear you anymore. No, I don't know. But they're just waiting for you to mess with our lives. They were just waiting. But while CA tries to get himself back in order, I'll continue with that thought because I think it is sobering. And CA, let me know when you're backstage and ready to go. I think it is sobering what Dr. Dwayne Sands shared with us. And the reason why I think it is sobering is that what I've been hearing, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are far from out of the woods. This is from the physicians and the nurses. This is from your EMTs. These are the people, the numbers we get are from people who are sick enough to go to the hospital. Again, we're doing PCR and antigen tests, right? We are not out of the woods, but the PCR test is not in the poor people's pockets. Folks who are ending up with poor health care and who are, and I really do believe that this is a disease that is adversely affecting those who don't have access, those who don't have means to get quality health care. This is very concerning to me because I told y'all, even with my family members, when they got sick and ended up in the hospital due to COVID, I had the benefit of knowing people. So when I had one of my kinfolk sitting out on the porch with oxygen and, then being put in and shuttled in hours later, almost into the next morning, because I couldn't reach but people who I knew, they had to wait until the next morning to be seen. And then they'd gotten worse because no one had actually checked on them. If I didn't have the access to someone like a Dr. Dwayne Sands, where would my family be? And that's the God's honest truth. That's what is happening. And that is a sad state of affairs. The COVID variant, COVID itself is not new to us. We are 18 months in and we are doing weird stuff because even as we talk about it, and I see my friend, I think he's ready to go. Ken, say something.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Good.
And even though, CA, that we need the financial support with people, you can't say as the Prime Minister, the lives of Bahamian people are important. But when you're asked about real tangible information and data, I'll get back to you. I'll make a statement on this soon. And you can't have a Ministry of Health that is not doing daily or even at best weekly updates and ask people where they're getting the COVID information from. They can't tell you exactly where to get it. And let's go to BIS. What? This would be something that there's, I'm very concerned and disappointed. And I want to get your thoughts.
I feel your frustration and I appreciate it. But like I said, the Dr. Sands interview allowed me to appreciate the fact that we are still in the midst of the COVID. And for a brief moment, I assumed that COVID was over for a particular group of people, and only that a certain section of people, a cross-section of people, were still at risk. Mm-hmm. But hearing that conversation, and clearly the entire Bahamas needs to be on alert, that we all are vulnerable, and that one person sick means the entire nation is impacted and it is in fact sick. And I am concerned about school opening. Listening to him talk about this Delta variant, which we're not sure is in countries yet. I'm not sure if our children can go to school come September, right? Definitely, it does seem at this present time that it will be a virtual education platform. And I think that conversation needs to be had, and getting Bahamian parents used to the idea and now having them start to facilitate the tools needed or that may be needed. There, I see again come September, there'll be a number of students who will be short laptops and devices, you know, and we'll be going through the same problems that we went through before. But if we start the conversation now, start the inventory now of what we need, what we do not have, what is necessary and required to have a face-to-face, have a virtual learning, a platform. Perhaps we will enter it with a more variety and a more comfortable position, and we need to continue to have such conversations.
Yeah, and I mean urgency, right? The matter of urgency. We're talking, you know, the idea that when one political leader makes a note or says, listen, we are going to have that elections are coming, and because there's no certainty, and this is what is frustrating, you can fix the uncertainty on certain things. You can take out concern for yourself as the prime minister for certain things. Certain things you should even have to worry about. Set the fixed date. Even if you don't want to call it a fixed date, just set the date. You don't have to go into legislation, just set the date. Take that out of your concern, take that out of the concern of the Bahamian people so that we don't clamor at lines and create more connections. You know, you're looking at the health data. You are aware, I would hope, of what is going on with your people and health. Get that out of the way. There's some things that don't need to be gamed. If you say we matter, then show we matter. Actually, show that you matter to yourself and reduce some of the workload. Set the date, move that out of the picture. Let's get that out of the narrative of the headlines. Let's begin to, of course, there'll be some politicking. Now it's election season. Dr. Dwayne Sands suggested that parties should come together now and set rules, guidelines, how things should be done. You know, what have we found in this process is that everything is still haphazard, right? That even graduations had no process, no formality. So schools were trying to figure out, how do I graduate our children? It became a thing when it didn't have to become a thing. Summer camps, it didn't have to be a thing. You can set mandates and rules and guidelines. There are things that shouldn't surprise us after doing this over a year. And the fact that we are, you know, you can do things safer. You can have better ideas. The pushing of vaccines and knowing full well that even the vaccines that you have counted, that you think are coming, still won't get us close to herd immunity, but you're still talking about this as if this is an answer. It is driving me crazy because I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy talk.
And I'm considering if election is called this year, if election is called early, how will COVID impact that? I know there are long lines to go and register, right? Especially when you're closing the ballots and you see that people are close to each other. You see that we use the same pencil to mark the ballot. We see that we use paper and all of these things, the commonality of these things is a concern. And again, we're not having that type of discussion on if election is called in within a few months. With this COVID strain, this Delta strain in the Bahamas, how will it impact the election and moving forward, the counting of the ballots? See, all of that is a concern, and no one is having that conversation to make me feel comfortable, make me feel that the democracy is secured in the Bahamas, and to make me feel that they're at least thinking out of the box and coming up with a discussion. It seems as if it's going to be last minute, and then hopefully a haphazard decision is made, as I say, hopefully, but a decision is made, and I am concerned about that.
Yeah. Please ask. So I can't imagine hearing political ads on my TV every day going into another year. That's true. Look, it has been, and it will be a process. 274 was the number yesterday of deaths. 22, I think, are under investigation. The House has really, they're on a break until September 22nd. We have so many things that have yet to be promised in this legislative era, a budget that has just gone through, and people are wondering what is its executive action, what is its purpose in this time. A lot of signage is out, parties are politicking, the trolls are loose, but people are still sick and dying. The economy and the numbers for tourism to me are a mirage. because we have a lot of folks who are coming in a short term because of a promise that is short term, which are these home porting of ships. What happens after their weeks are done? What happens then? What is that plan? Is that one of the reasons why we call it early, knowing full well that this is only for a promised time, and then after that we go down in economic return. So all of these things are happening. We're letting people in country without being vaccinated, and that's why I said with the cruise ship when we were on Serenity, I appreciated that they in turn did their own testing of every passenger, and then throughout the cruise made sure that we all were not just socially distant within your group, but if you joined the table in your group, they wanted to make sure they could contact trace where you've been, and they would still spot check and temperature check. They were still doing these things. We are not giving that confidence up in this country and actually downplaying in a certain way what is going on in the healthcare sector. But we're going to party on, right? We're going to party on. We're going to have big funerals. We're going to have big parties on the weekend at clubs where obviously people are outside partying and not social distancing, and nothing is going to come of it. Nothing is going to come of it. And so let go of your powers, and it is what it is. It is what it is.
Come August, the emergency orders is suspended, and then we just have to deal with living with COVID. We still see the junk canoe groups, 400, 500 strong, without masks, blowing horns. It is who we are, right? And there's no repercussion. There is no call of the junk canoe leader to say, hey, what you did yesterday, stop, right? So God forbid if any other junk canoer dies in the immediate future, we shall expect another big junk canoe rush out and another spread of COVID and another risk. So we just need to do more. We need to do more, and I don't think that we are committed. I don't think that, mind you, I know the government is doing what they can, but I don't think that through their leadership and through their determination that they're showing to the Bahamian people that we need to be committed, because it shows too much loopholes and slackness here and there, and I am concerned.
Man, listen, I'm beyond concerned. Do you trust the government? I asked Dwayne Sands, does he trust the government with our health? Well, he danced around that like.
Then I shall dance around that too.
Dance around that. Yes. We're going to tiptoe around that. I think it's a matter of trust, and I think the Prime Minister is in need of a new mandate. Yeah, I think that is why I think that you ring the bell. I think you ring the bell. Yes. I think you ring the bell.
But the good thing is he plans to address the nation regarding COVID soon. So perhaps, soon, whenever that is. So perhaps he will come up with some new ideas, some new concepts, some new protocols that we can embrace, and we will see what happens then. And
you know what that reminded me of when we were asking for the what was it? The Recovery Commission, Economic Recovery Committee's report.
Yes.
Yeah. When we were asking for ideas at the beginning of the pandemic, what is the economic plan? It's coming soon, right? Soon is a very strong word for this administration. They believe in soon. They believe in soon. We believe in dates. They don't believe in dates, right? So set the date. CA, thank you so much, my friend. It's been an interesting show. We've had from top to bottom, start to finish, quite a bit of entertainment. And I think we've learned a lot today. What did you learn? Your walk away, your takeaway before we go. Takeaway.
Wear your masks no matter what. Even if they vaccinated, don't trust them.
Don't trust it. You know what I learned today?
Go ahead.
Check pockets. Check pockets.
Oh, for phones. Even if the rules say not to bring your phone, they just bring it and they just have the phone on.
phones in pockets. Check the phones.
I thought only another political party does that. Their leaders record every conversation. If he calls you, you know you're going to be recorded.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good one. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black. See you, Nuri, my good friend. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless. Stay safe. Stay socially distant. You're listening to The Hit Back, Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.